Hey everyone, I want to show you a little trick you can do right here with a Dell server. I bought these Dell servers online for about 50 bucks a piece, and they have a third-party BIOS on it, meaning that a vendor bought these Dell servers, put their own proprietary BIOS on there. This is a Pivot 3 BIOS because they were using these machines for the purpose of a storage unit, and so they put their own BIOS on there. But I want to use the standard Dell BIOS on there, so I want to show you the steps in doing that. I have created from another PC. I have a thumb drive here, and on this thumb drive I have FreeDOS. It is a bootable thumb drive, and I got FreeDOS on there. And I also downloaded the executable version of the BIOS update for this particular server. This is a Dell R510 server. And when you go online and you look up the BIOS on that, you can click on other versions, and then you'll see out there that there's about 3 executables out there. One of the executables is going to be a 64-bit executable. The other one's going to be a 32-bit executable, and then there'll be one for just DOS. And it's usually the smallest one. So I do have the smallest one on here. I've got FreeDOS loaded. I'm going to go ahead and boot this server from that USB drive. So I'll talk to you about a couple things. We're going to do this real time, and so we'll see how it goes from here. Okay, here it comes. So this is this has got dual Xeon processors in it. It's got 12 gig of RAM. It's not too bad of a little server. Like I say, for 50 bucks, it's okay. So there you see the Pivot 3 BIOS that they've got loaded on there. They have configured this. I'm going to go to F2 right here, go into System Setup, and the System Setup will come up after the machine post. We'll walk through it together. Like I say, this is going to be real time. I'm not going to cut anything out so that you guys can see exactly how long it takes. Okay, so we're going to hit F2 to go into the system setup program. And here's the system setup. This is standard on all Dell servers of this age. So we're going to go down to boot settings, hit enter. And we want to make sure that we're in BIOS mode here. So, you know, if you're loading some type of server product on there, especially Windows Server, you want to be in UEFI mode. But for this purpose of updating the BIOS, I'm going to be in BIOS mode right here. And in boot sequence, I'm going to have hard drive C selected first, which there's really no hard drive in here at all, but you can see that the USB drive up front is going to emulate that drive C for me. So this is the exact setup that I need to boot off of that USB drive that I have in the front of the server. So I'm going to get out of here, and there we go. So it booted up that quick, and there's the prompt. So if I do a directory here, you can see that I have the BIOS right here, and what I want to do is I want to run this and show you what happens. So if you're wondering why there's a tilde there and there wasn't one online when you downloaded the file, is that in DOS it can only see an 8.3 nomenclature for the naming convention, so anything larger than 8.3 gets truncated on the left hand side. So I'm going to run this and let you see what it says. So if we run the executable PER 510-1 and hit enter, you see right here this error message that says cannot use Dell System Poweredge R510 BIOS in a Pivot 3 incorporated RAID storage. So the reason it's saying that is because it knows that it has a proprietary BIOS loaded on there, and it doesn't. Dell is smart enough not to overwrite that without being forced to overwrite it, because if they have the BIOS configured to do certain things, then if you put the Dell standard BIOS back on there, then the machine may not act the way that the OEM provider wanted it to act. And so we're going to press any key to exit here, and I'm going to show you how to get this done. Here we are back at the C prompt, and we're going to do the same command, PER 510 ~1, and I'm going to hit a space. I'm going to put a slash. I'm going to do force type. All right, you see that? Force type, and I'm going to hit enter. And what that's going to do, it's going to force the Dell BIOS onto the machine. And it says about to replace the Pivot 3 BIOS with, the Pivot 3 BIOS version was 1.4.0, and it says it's going to replace it with the Dell BIOS 1.14.0. Press yes, and I'm going to hit yes, and here we go. So here comes the process of flashing that BIOS. This takes a couple minutes, so I'm going to let this run in real time so that you can see it. Okay, so it says press any key to reboot. System will power off for a few seconds, then it's going to restart. So we're going to restart the computer right now by pressing enter. All right. And here it comes back on. And I want you to see what the BIOS looks like when it comes back up. So we just took the Pivot 3 off, and this should be the Dell BIOS that comes on this time. And look at that. There's the Dell Poweredge R510 BIOS version 1.14.0. That's exactly what we just put on there. And so we're just going to let this run through the boot sequence. It should boot. I got to look and see what my memory is doing on CPU 2 there. Unsupported memory configuration detected. I just wonder if some came loose while I was hauling it down here. I'll check that out. And there we are. And so we're booted up into our FreeDOS off the USB. I don't have any hard drives in here, so I don't have anything to boot off of, but just wanted to show you guys the process of forcing that BIOS onto the machine once you have a third-party or OEM provider put on their own BIOS. Now I have a standard out-of-the-box Dell R510 server with the most up-to-date Dell BIOS on it. Appreciate you guys watching, and hope to catch you in the next video.